You've probably seen YouTube videos on building AI assistants, but what I'm about to show you in this video takes things to a whole new level. I refer to this as the mother of all AI assistants because this is truly a powerhouse. This AI assistant can pretty much handle every single task you throw at it. From tasks like getting email, sending email, getting calendar events, setting new calendar events, updating records in databases, creating new records in databases, getting tasks, accessing the internet, accessing hacker news, accessing additional workflow tools that you can build to add more functionalities to this, accessing private data via vector databases, all within the same AI agent. Stay with me till the end because I'll show you how to build this AI agent that will practically automate every single task you need, giving you more time and less hassle. If you're not familiar with this tool, don't worry about it. I'm going to walk through step by step over everything. You don't have to know how to code. I'm going to show you exactly how to build this. And on top of that, for those of you who are in my school community, I'm going to build this live on Friday at 4:30 p.m. so that way you can follow me step by step and ask any questions during the call. And if you can't make the call, that's fine. I will also record that and post it on the classroom section so that way you can have access to it anytime. And then obviously you will have access to this template as well. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Zubair. My YouTube channel and my school community is all about building incredibly practical and useful AI agents for personal or business use cases. We have really great community members who are always active and helping each other, lending a hand, and also providing great questions and answers so that way you can update your skills in building no-code AI agents using n8n and other tools as well. In my school community, you'll have access to exclusive things such as this custom GPT that I built that is only available for my school community. And then also I have on daily calls, so that way if you're building an AI agent or you're following one of my tutorials and you get stuck somewhere, you can jump into one of the calls and ask your questions, or you can post your questions in the Ask and Assist channel. Myself or somebody will be able to get back to you and provide that answer. All right, so let's get started. So the initial interaction for this is going to be done via Telegram, but it's up to you. If you want to use some other tool like a chatbot, you can certainly do that as well. But Telegram is great because you will have the ability to actually ask it question either via message or also via voice as well. So we can practically use this like Siri and ask it all of the questions or give it instructions, and it will go ahead and update everything. So let me quickly give you guys a demo of what this looks like, and then I'm going to show you the different nodes that I used and the different techniques and parameters so that way you can build a version of this of your own. All right, so then pull up the Telegram here. So let me go to the bottom. So let's start first of all with getting emails, right? So to show you right now, let's say I have 3 emails that are unread. So I've said that only provide the emails that are unread to me. So when I'm asking the AI assistants to give me my emails, it should only provide me a summary of the unread emails that are in my inbox only. I'm going to use my phone, but you'll be able to see this on the Telegram view right here. But let me go ahead and click on the test workflow here. So I'm going to click on test workflow. And right now this Telegram trigger is saying waiting for you to create an event in Telegram. So let me go ahead and say, hi Mia, do I have any emails today? So it's going to transcribe my voice, text to speech, and it's going to reach out to the proper tool, which is the read email. And it's going to summarize all of the emails that I have, which are the 3 unread emails, as you can see right there. And if I go to my inbox, these are the 3 only unread emails that are there. So getting emails, getting calendar events, they're all pretty much the same. They're simple tasks, but let's go ahead and test out getting some details from our database. So in this case, I've used Airtable. So I'm going to go ahead and try to retrieve the contact information that's sitting in my database. So let's go ahead and do that. So this time I'm going to type instead of sending the message via voice. So I'm going to click on testing again. Pull up the Telegram app, you can see. So I'm just going to type, can you get me John Doe's contact information? If I press send. So now this time it's going to reach out to the contacts database, which is the correct one. And it's going to give me the contact information for John Doe, which the email is John and the phone number is 114-668. So let's double check to make sure it's correct. John Doe, John@gmail, 114-668. So as you can see, it reached out to the proper table because we have 2 tables. There's another one called the task table, which now let's go ahead and see if we can pull up the task summary from this particular table. So same thing, I'm gonna utilize the voice message again. So let me get rid of this, click on test flow again. Hi Mia, can you get me my tasks for tomorrow? So I'm gonna submit that. Again, it's gonna create the test. It's gonna reach out to the proper table record, and it's going to provide me a summary of all the tasks. As you can see right here, I have 5 tasks, set up school community, create YouTube content calendar. As you can see right here on my table here, set up school community, create YouTube content calendar. So all of this data is being retrieved from the proper database. And same thing, I have access to SERP API, which means that I have access to Google all from here. I have access to calculators. So if I need to do any kind of problems that requires, or any kind of tasks that require mathematics, it's going to utilize that. Weather data tool. So this is just an example, meaning that I can attach a separate tool here. So I've attached this workflow, which is an open weather map API. I can even create contacts. So for example, if I go back to this table right here, and if I go to my contacts, I can tell it to create a new contact. So I can also have access to the latest news about a particular topic using the Hacker News tool here. And then also I can attach a vector database, meaning that if I have sensitive data that's sitting on my own vector database, I have the ability to access that information as well. So as you can see, this thing is extremely valuable and extremely useful, because you can pretty much attach anything and give it any tasks, and it will be able to retrieve that very easily. And again, it doesn't have to be a Telegram. You can utilize the chat. You can utilize Siri. There's a lot of nodes you can input here. So let's go ahead and walk through now step by step into the different nodes. And I'm going to show you how to exactly build this, and what kind of prompts and what kind of parameters I had to put in here in order for this to be able to have access to this. All right, so the first thing is I added a Telegram node. So let's go ahead and take a look at this incoming event right here. So this is going to be our trigger. Obviously, if you don't have a Telegram account, you have to create a Telegram account. And then once you go and create the Telegram account, you'll be able to create a new bot, and you can chat with it using the bot father. So if you're not familiar with how to create that, please make sure you follow this step by step. So that way you can create that bot that you can interact with. And in my particular case, I have created this bot called ZubairBot, and that's what I'm sending these messages to and interacting with this AI agent. So once you do that and get your access token, you're going to come back, attach your account, and then the trigger is going to be on message, right? Because you can have other triggers as well, but we're going to utilize our message because we can attach a voice message or a regular text message in there as well. So once that's done, I'm putting a switch node here because I need to make sure I am sending the proper data to the proper location. So if it's a message that is just a text, right here I've put that if it's just a text message, just go ahead and grab the JSON.message.text. I've also put this little snippet of code that said that if the text message doesn't exist, meaning if the user did not send a message by typing, I put this little snippet of code so that way it doesn't throw any error. But again, you can just copy and paste this. You don't have to worry about changing the data in here. And then same thing right here on top. So this is going to route the file. If it's a voice message, what it's going to do is grab that file ID, and this is going to go ahead and send this to this node, which is again a Telegram node. This time the resource is going to be file, and the operation is going to be getting the file, meaning that we will download the file that's coming in from our trigger, and this is going to download. So if I switch this back to fixed here, you can see right here you have this option to toggle this. So if you toggle this, this is going to download the file, and this is the file that is being downloaded, and this is the voice message file that's coming through. So then what I'm doing is attaching an OpenAI node to be able to grab that data file, and in this case our voice file, and transcribe that recording into text. So as you can see right here, this file, I said, "Hi Mia, can you get me my task for tomorrow?" So that's what it did, and then it outputs it as a text. So this is going to be just JSON.text. And then in my AI agents, I'm grabbing both of these and parsing it to see what the user is asking. After the text, so I've put a set field here to be able to grab that text and convert it into JSON.text, because I want to make sure that both of these outputs are similar, because otherwise if you have two different outputs, if you don't put this node right here, what's going to end up happening is from here, the output, if it's a message, is going to come as JSON.message.text instead of just JSON.text. So that's why I'm unifying and giving the output from both of these, regardless of whether it's a voice message or a text message, as JSON.text. So that way inside my AI assistant, I'm only grabbing the JSON.text that's coming out, regardless of it's coming out from the speech to text or the edit field. And you see the output right here is json.text, right? All right, so my AI agent here is just a tools agent. So when you add your AI agent from right here, if you go ahead and click on advanced AI agent, you can add a tools agent, and instead of taking from previous, you're going to say define below, because we need to define the task for this particular agent with our prompt. So let me go ahead and get out of this and delete this. So let's go ahead and jump inside this AI agent and take a look at my prompt. So inside the prompt, if I maximize this, this is the entire prompt that I'm giving this. And the reason why I'm giving this prompt and it's so large is because I'm attaching several tools. So I'm instructing this AI agent that, hey, for different tasks or for different queries that the user is asking, it needs to access a different tool, and therefore you want to make sure you provided a really good prompt here to be able to grab or access what tool for what purpose, right? So this is kind of a statement that you're putting, a logic statement to give this AI really good instruction. And it's very important to give it also a date, because a lot of times if you're asking things like getting email or setting calendar event or getting calendar event, you want to make sure that it knows what day it is. And the great thing about n8n is it has its own native formula, which is basically now. I mean, if you just put this and copy and paste this, it will know, this AI agent will know today's date. And in this case, as you can see right here, today's date is November 3rd, which is correct. So now it has access to what the current day is. And then I'm providing it these guidelines, things like, hey, email management, use the read email tool to fetch and rate emails. For sending emails, use the send tool. And as you can see, all of these instructions are provided based on the particular tools that I have attached to this AI agent. And again, for you, whatever your use case is, whatever you're putting for your AI assistant, this is going to be different, but this will give you a good foundation so that way you can access this and just change it. And again, as I mentioned, for those of you who are in my school community, you can just grab this and import it to your workflow, and then you can change the prompt here for whatever use case you have, but this will give you a really good foundation. Anyway, so let's take a look at so that's pretty much it. We just provide our system message here, the prompt, and then now we can go ahead and take a look at the different tools we are adding here. Okay, so the first one is obviously the chat model. So I'm using OpenAI's GPT-4 mini. I suggest using a really good, powerful large language model here. So I would suggest sticking with OpenAI GPT-4 and also maybe Anthropic, because the more tools you provide to this AI agent and this AI assistant, the more powerful it's going to be, and therefore it's going to require a very good large language model. So therefore I would suggest sticking with those two major ones. And then obviously if you're using this locally and you have a really good machine, or if you're running n8n on a virtual machine, then you can utilize the Ollama models as well, but use a good model. All right, so let's take a look at the different tools we have available. So all these tools that you see right here, I'm sure if you've used n8n before, you have the option to use this separate workflow, meaning that you could have attached a separate workflow like this one. Again, this is just an example. I have another workflow that I've created using the Open Weather Map API, but this is just for examples to show you that it still has access to a separate workflow that you can call. But the thing is, this is very slow. So recently, n8n released this tools AI agent node, meaning that now you have access to all these nodes as tools, which is really great. But one catch is that you need to make sure you're using this function, which is called fromAI. Otherwise, none of this is going to work. So let me explain what that is. So let's go back to our personal assistant here. And if we click on the tools right here, so now you will see before you don't have all this option available. And again, make sure your n8n is updated. Otherwise this might not show. So now you can see Google Docs tool, Google Drive tool, Google Sheets tool, and all of these great Gmail tools. So all of these great tools are available for us to directly attach to our AI agent, where before you had to attach a separate workflow in order for you to be able to access a calendar tool, for example, or a Gmail tool. But now this makes it extremely fast, because if you have provided this AI agent a really good prompt, it will be able to grab the right data or the right task based on the tool that you have given it. And again, obviously the instruction has to be clear in order for this to work. So that's why you have all access to all of these things now. So let's go ahead and take a look at our tools that I've attached here. So all of these tools, again, they are an existing node as well, but when you attach it as tool, it has a separate parameter now called the tools description. And this is what differentiates these nodes as tool versus a regular node that you attach it. And again, I'm going to show that a little bit. But for example, let's take a look at the first one. This is the read email tool. And the way I did this, again, is just clicked on tool here, or just grab that, and you just grab this Gmail tool here. So when we click inside this, we can, obviously you have to attach your credentials. So the tool description, this is what's added now extra. So you would do set automatically here. The message source, the resource is going to be message, and the operation is going to be many, because obviously we're not sending an email, we're having this agent read our emails that are unread. And then as far as the limit, you can set a limit. I highly suggest setting a limit, because if something goes wrong, you don't want it to return all of the messages, because that's going to utilize a lot of your large language models. So set something like, I mean, 50 might be a little too long too. So maybe I'm going to put like 20. And then simplify it, obviously, and you need to make sure you're putting filters. So you need to have labels in there, so that way this AI agent knows that it only grabs the emails that are unread, and then also from your inbox. So make sure you select those particular categories. Or if you have labels in there that you want to utilize, same thing, just make sure you're selecting that. The read status, I'm saying unread emails only, so make sure you select that as well. And then also, so this is what is going to be different with these tools. They have this new formula called fromAI. And if we go back to this tools agent here, this is what I'm talking about. So it's called a dynamic parameters for tools. So when it says, when configuring tools connected to the tools agent, you can use this fromAI function to dynamically populate the parameter values using the AI model. So now what this means is that with these tools that are available to this AI agent, now it will be able to access all these different tools dynamically through the large language model that's attached, right? So that's why you have to identify, you have to provide this fromAI functionality, and this fromAI function only takes one parameter that's required, which is the key, and then it takes description, type, and default value, but those are not required. You want to make sure you provide at least the key, because otherwise this won't work. And this key could be whatever, right? I've put set date here, and I'm going to show the rest of them as well, so that way you see how this works. But make sure you go ahead and read this thing, because this will give you a good understanding of what this fromAI function is and how it works. And as you can see right here, it says the key parameter, which is a string representing the key or the name of the argument. So you want to make sure you're providing that. And at the bottom, they give you examples. So for example, it says you could use an expression to dynamically populate a field with a name, for example, right? And this is what it's doing. You use fromAI, you put name, and then these three are obviously not required, but it's good to always put that in there, so that way you understand what's going on. So anyways, read that and make sure that you understand how this function works, but it's very, very simple, right? So let's take a look at another thing. This might become easier. So let's take a look at our contacts tool, for example, right, for Airtable. So this one, I didn't need to put any fromAI functionality, because all we're doing here is reading the contacts, right? So here you will just do the same thing. You use your Airtable account. The operation, you will do a search. The source will be record, and then you're grabbing your base from the list here. And then obviously, if you have your Airtable account connected properly, all of this will show up, and that's all you need to do. And then make sure you're clicking on return all, so that way it's giving you all of the has access to all of the contact. But let's take a look at, for example, creating a contact, right? So if I click on creating a contact, so now you'll be able to see how to implement this fromAI thing. So when we create an Airtable record using this Airtable tool, you would put the source as record again, and the operation this time will be create. And you'll select the base, you'll select whatever table you're going to create this. So now to map each column, now you will say fromAI, right? And again, if you want to make sure you're on expression. right? So you'll say from AI and name, and I'm not giving it a description, but you could, but I've literally just put name here. You can put whatever you want. You could say name of the contact or name of the person or whatever it may be. Same thing for the email. I've just said email from AI email, right? Very, very simple. It's the same thing for the phone number, from AI phone number. And if I go to my contacts Airtable here, as you can see inside this contacts table within my n8n base, I have these three columns: name, email, and phone number. So the last one is Bob Smith, right? So let's go ahead and add a new record so that way I can show you this in real time. So let's get out of this. Let's go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to pull up my Telegram so you can see this live. Actually, hold on a second. Click on test here. All right, now it's listening. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a new contact. Okay, so I just said add this to my contacts, and I'm giving this a contact information, as you can see right now. So it reaches the create contact automatically, and it says that Robert King has been successfully added to your contacts. Here are the details. So let's go ahead and check to make sure that it added the proper contacts. And refresh the page. There you go, Robert King, king@gmail.com, and then it provided all these data points to the particular columns, and it made sure that everything was set in the right place, right? So that's the great thing about this AI agent and this functionality of this tool, because you can utilize this from AI, and it will use the large language model to access the correct tool that's attached to it, and then therefore it will also within that tool give you the correct information to put wherever you need, right? Okay, so now let's take a look at, so same thing, you can add this to your Google Sheet as well. You can add something to Google Sheet. You know, all of this will be pretty much the same. I love using Airtable because of the user interface and everything is great, but you can use Google Sheet or whatever database you're using. So let's go ahead and actually test out the Hacker News. So this is a tool that now has access to this tool's AI agent as well. And for the limit, I'm just, for those of you who are not familiar with Hacker News, if you have used the node before, it basically provides you the news articles with the keywords that you specify with the regular node. But in this one, we're going to dynamically specify the keywords and the amount of articles that's coming into us based on the user's query, right? So that's why here the operation is going to be get many. The limit I'm setting as from AI amount of articles, meaning that whatever the user is asking, it needs to provide those. So if a user says, hey, provide me the last 10 articles about a particular keyword, then that's what it's going to do. It's going to grab that amount of article number from the user query. And then the same thing, the keywords is search query. Again, the keywords could be whatever, as long as it makes sense. So you can change this, instead of search query, you can just say query or article name or whatever it may be, right? So let's go ahead and test this thing out now. So now, and then as a backup, I've also added SERP API because now it has access to all of research in search engines. But if I want to particularly specify that I want to utilize Hacker News, so what it's going to do is, based on the prompt that I've provided, it's going to go ahead and take a look at this first. If there's any kind of error, then it's going to use SERP API as a backup. So let's go ahead and say, get me the last 3 articles about, for example, NVIDIA, right? So let's go ahead and test that out. I'm going to test workflow again, pull up the Telegram here. So I'm going to say, hi Mia, can you get me the last 3 articles about NVIDIA? So I'm going to send that. Again, it's a speech, so it's going to go ahead and now access Hacker News. As you can see, it's going to go back to OpenAI large language model, and it's going to provide me these 3 articles, all nice and summarized, and also the link to those particular articles. So as you can see, this is a great assistant, actually very, very useful. And now you can ask it, anything related to, a search engine. So that if you do that, then it's gonna access SERP API. So let's go ahead and do that actually. So this time I'm gonna try to ask it something that is non-Hacker News related. So let me pull that up again. So I'm gonna say, hi Mia, can you provide me a quick summary of the latest election results? So let's go ahead and put that. So now it's going to SERP API, use the SERP API tool, and it's going to give me the summary of, quick summary of the latest updates on US election, right? Perfect. See? It is incredibly useful. So now you can use this pretty much with any tool that's available. So if you just click on the tools here, all of these different tools are available for you. And I'm going to make some more tutorials on this because this is a great addition that n8n did. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to make some really great AI agents from this, because now you have access to all these great tools that you can directly attach. And then same thing, like I said, now you can also attach a vector database. So I have my vector database tool here. I'm not going to use that because otherwise like this video is going to go way too long, but you can essentially prompt your AI agent to make sure that it's accessing the correct tool for whatever purpose you want to use this for, right? And also, as far as the guide itself, so I've just said it, you are a helpful assistant who responds to users' requests in a fun, friendly, but professional way. So feel free to change this as well, because this is the prompt that's going directly to the system. So you can, you know, make this as professional as possible, as fun as possible, depending on what your use case is. So another thing is, for this particular AI agent, you also want to make sure you attach a buffer memory, because this will give it the ability to remember the previous chat history, so that way you can go back and forth with it very easily. As far as the buffer memory, you want to make sure that you are putting the ID of the message that's coming in from a Telegram in this case. So I'm just saying listen for incoming events .first.json.message, and again I'm just grabbing the message from my Telegram, and it's the same thing. I'm just copying and pasting this into also the message that comes out of this AI agent, because you want to be able to respond back to the user via the Telegram app or whatever app you're using, right? So you want to make sure that you're sending a message, adding another Telegram note that says send a message, and you want to provide the chat ID. Same thing, this is going to be that ID, and it's going to listen for that json.message.fromID that we're receiving, and then the text is going to be json.output. In our case, this is going to be the output of the Mia AI assistant that we're using. So this is going to go ahead, you're just going to drag this here, and then obviously it will provide the correct message based on the query that the user is asking. So I'm going to go ahead and test this external workflow as well, so that way you can see this is working as well. And as I mentioned before, this is just an example separate workflow that I have attached. This is the Open Weather API. I've built this in my previous video, so feel free to watch that. So let's go ahead and test that out too. So this time I'm gonna go ahead and test it and ask it to give me the latest or the weather for example, for San Francisco, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna say, hi Mia, what's the weather in San Francisco right now? So if I send this, now you can see it's accessing the weather data tool, because this is the workflow they provided. And this is the problem, right? Because when you're accessing this, when it was accessing this external workflow, it takes a little time. But now with these other tools, you could tell earlier how quick it was to respond. But the reason why I'm pointing this out is that you can see that this still works. So you can, the tools that are not available right now, and n8n keeps adding more tools. But for now, if you are using something that's not within this tool set that's available, you can always attach your external workflow in there as well. And as you can see right here, it works properly. Okay, cool. So that was pretty much a demo of this, and the reason why I said this is kind of the mother of all AI assistants and the ultimate AI assistant is because you can pretty much attach any tool to this and you'll be able to get any task done, right? Creating a record or getting tasks from a database or uploading your own documentation to a vector database is extremely powerful. So if you have some sensitive data that you want to have access to through this agent, you'll be able to add that to a vector store like a Pinecone vector store database, or actually, as a matter of fact, so they already have a supper-based tool that's available. So I'll probably create another video of this where I can attach the supper-based tool to this instead of using the Pinecone vector database, because it doesn't look like they have a Pinecone vector database tool right now that's available, but I'm sure they're going to add that, right? So anyways, for now, the reason why I attached the Pinecone vector database is because I already have all of my data in the Pinecone database, so I didn't want to switch that to supper-based. But I think I'm going to create another one where I will have data that's personal or data that's sensitive that I will put in that vector database and utilize this AI agent to have access to that directly. So this workflow template is going to be available, and I'll put the link in the description below this video. So all you have to do is just click on the import from file, and you can just bring all of this into your own workflow and then try to change this or add more tools to this. Of course, for those of you who are in my school community, you will be able to have access to this on the Build AI Agent section here, and then also on the n8n templates as well. And then, like I said, I'll also do a live call on building this step by step again, so that way you can either join me on building this, or you can ask any questions while I'm building this. And of course, I'll also have I'll record that call, so that way it's available for you. All right, well, again, thanks for watching. Subscribe and make sure you like the video, because I've got some other great tutorials that are upcoming, so you want to make sure you don't miss out. All right, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.